fireplace. You pay attention to me. I do not care what you do once this thing's over with. You can lay down and die and decay in the road for years. Fanatics of Bonanza have loved host Cartwright, the gentle giant who added warmth and humor to the display screen. But behind the scenes, Dan Blocker, the person who embodied Hose, had a tale complete of surprising twists and, untold secrets. Now at 66. One among his sons has come forward to verify a protracted suspected truth, approximately his father, a revelation that might exchange the whole lot. Enthusiasts' idea they knew. But before we get into those revelations, it's essential to understand the early occasions that led his son to unveil these long-hidden secrets. The 14 PB star is born. Little Joe may additionally have gained hearts along with his attraction, and top appears, however, it changed into host Cartwright the mild lord who honestly stole our affection, along with his humble nature, boundless innocence, and a heart as natural as gold. Hose have become more than a man or woman. He became a loved figure embodying warmth and energy, in same measure born as Bobby Dan Davis Blocker. On December 10th, 1128, in Deob, Texas, Dan arrived in this international with a bang, weighing in at a whopping 14 kilos. This report-breaking start became simply the beginning of a bigger-than-existence tale growing up within the small metropolis of Odon, Texas. Dan spent his early years helping out in the owned family grocery shop, wherein he carried bags for customers and soaked up the small city values that fashioned his kind and grounded spirit. By age 10, Dan changed into, already taking up jobs facet, by means of side with grown men, hauling grain, and operating construction. His strength was excellent, and his pals gave him the right nickname, the Biggin. By means of 12, he had already reached 6 FT in height, and tipped the scales at 200. Some nearby toughs even tried challenging him, but Dan by no means misplaced a fight. After high school, Dan attended Texas Military Institute, wherein he excelled on the football area. His athletic ability earned him a soccer scholarship to CUO State University by using. Then he became an enforcing 64 and 275 lb, a presence tough to disregard. It became round this time that the spark of a new dream became ignited, though he didn't know it simply yet. Whilst his college drama membership wished a degree hand to transport heavy props, they known as on Dan, whose energy made him the obvious desire. But what began as a simple desire led to his first small position in a manufacturing of arsenic and old lace. That first taste of acting captivated him. Dan felt the thrill of the level and Speedy shifted his focus, changing his principal from English to theater, though he had offers to play professional football. Dan selected alternatively to follow his coronary heart. His goals of performing finally led him to New York City, in which he pursued a career on Broadway in time. His willpower and skills landed him a role in a manufacturing of King Lear, marking a prime step in his journey toward Hollywood. But as lifestyles would have it, a new and unexpected twist changed into simply around the corner surviving Red Meat Chop Hill's brutality. After college, Dan Blocker found himself trading textbooks for Army fatigues as he joined the USA Army, geared up to serve his United States of America. But this became no clean transition status. At over 6'3" and weighing around 300 lb, Blocker turned into a large of a person, and his sheer length created precise challenges for the Army. It took a complete month simply to find boots that might match his large FT. Once equipped, Blocker soon discovered himself a long way from home. Within the thick of the Korean War, by Christmas of 1951, he became stationed at the front traces close to Chan, North Korea, as part of the 179th Infantry Regiment as a fight infantry sergeant. Blocker's strength and resilience made him a force to be reckoned with. Daily, he and his fellow soldiers faced brutal battles, enduring the biting, bloodless, sleepless nights and the unrelenting danger of enemy hearth. For nearly 7 months, Blocker trudged through trench conflict, the echoes of explosions filling the air as he led his men through some of the maximum extreme combating the warfare needed to provide one night time in the midst of chaos and gunfire. Blocker noticed one of his comrades in determined want pinned down, and unable to move without hesitation, he charged ahead, braving the firestorm to pull his fellow soldier to safety. It was an act of courage that would depart him wounded, however, earned him a Purple Heart, a symbol of bravery that he wore with quiet pride. The fierce skirmishes on Pork Chop Hill had been a number of the toughest of the Korean War, a battleground in which survival itself felt like a victory. Right here, Blocker and his regiment fought at the front strains, defending every inch of land in an area where each hill and valley came at a high price. It changed into grueling work, and after months of continuous fight, Blocker turned into eventually evacuated his body, battered but spirit unbroken, dispatched to a health facility to heal from the scars of conflict. While he subsequently backed domestically, Dan Blocker carried with him the reminiscences of war's harsh realities. Though he had fought with honor, the experience had modified him. He had become an outspoken critic of war, especially Navy interventions that depended on force. Having witnessed the destructive power of violence firsthand, he had become a passionate recommend for peace, condemning the horrors of warfare and particularly the devastating use of napalm. How Dan Blocker observed fame. Whilst Dan Blocker returned home from the Korean War, he changed into ready to leave the battlefield at the back of, and attention on, building a lifestyles filled with family and motive. He married his university sweetheart, Dulphia Parker, and together they would boost 4 children, growing a heat and loving circle of relatives' life that grounded him after the chaos of war, although appearing wasn't at first a part of his plans. Lifestyles had a shocking twist in shop for the towering Texan. In pursuit of his doctorate, Blocker moved to California and enrolled at UCLA. It wasn't long before his big frame and unmistakable Southern charm struck the eye of Hollywood casting marketers on the time Westerns dominated TV, and Blocker regarded tailor-made for the genre. His implementing presence and rugged exact seams made him an ideal match for the rough-and-tumble roles Western demanded, and soon he turned into being supplied small components in famous indicates. His journey commenced with bit roles in Western collection like Gunsmoke and Colt 45, in which he delivered an unmistakable warm temperature and humor to every character he played for the duration of the 1,950 S. Blocker regularly built his resume, appearing in famous shows consisting of The Rifleman, Have Gun Will Travel, and Maverick. Even though he occasionally dabbled in film, it was television that genuinely captured his coronary heart. In 1957, he were given his first important smash, landing a full-size position within The Restless. Gun, his overall performance resonated with audiences and opened doors to even more possibilities quickly after he took on the routine function of Tiny Boyner, a lovely and goofy ranch hand. In Cimarron City, this individual allowed him to showcase his natural comedic timing and hinted at the charisma that could make him a family call. It wasn't lengthy earlier. Then Blocker's big damage ultimately arrived. He landed the position of Hose Cartwright on Bonanza, a component that would cement his vicinity in television history and catapult him to stardom. Dan Blocker's defining Bonanza role. Dan Blocker's existence took a big turn whilst he landed the position of Hose Cartwright in the hit TV series Bonanza. This component might now not best change his career, but make him a household name across America as Hose the warm-hearted and towering son of the Cartwright family. Dan have become a fixture in living rooms coast to coast. Hoss became a mild large man, or woman, who were the sharpest of the Cartwright clan, but extra than made up for it with his big coronary heart and real kindness. Audiences, especially kids, Speedy fell in love with Hoss's truthful attraction and his unshakable loyalty to the ones he cared approximately for. Dan Hoss became more than just a character. He changed into a way to explicit his own beliefs and values, inspired with the aid of the phrases of Stephen Grett, an 18th century Quaker missionary who entreated human beings to do all the correct you could. Dan brought this philosophy to existence through Hose. It was this underlying feel of justice and compassion, so herbal to Dan himself, that made Ho's kindness feel real and earned him a unique area within the hearts of visitors. Though Hose became portrayed as simple and innocent, Dan himself changed into an sensible and considerate man. He held a master's degree in theater and had a deep appreciation for literature and philosophy. His portrayal of Hose balanced tenderness with a fierce protective instinct, a greed that echoed his own lifestyles as a decorated Korean War veteran who knew each the value of warfare and The price of peace, Dan's enforcing body truly made him a super healthy for the position of host, but it changed into his mild nature that really introduced the character to lifestyle. Simply years into his appearing career, Dan have become part of one among TV's most iconic families. Behind the curtain, he shaped a near friendship with his co-stars Lauren Green and Michael Landon. The three men shared a bond that went past appearing. Dan even served as exceptional guy at Michael Landon's wedding to Lynn No, a testament to the deep connection they shared. Even though Bonanza saved him, busy Dan occasionally ventured into movie acting, along Frank Sinatra in films like Come Blow Your Horn and Girl in Cement. No matter his growing fame, he never forgot his roots in the small metropolis of O'Donnell, Texas. The people back home had been immensely happy with the quiet, 1025, considerate boy who had grown right into a TV celebrity bringing joy to millions. Why Dan Blocker left Hollywood? Dan Blocker's portrayal of host Cartwright on Bonanza launched him into stardom, even though fame was by no means something he actively sought. Along with his mild nature and enforcing body, he became a beloved discern on American television, but he became ambivalent approximately. The highlight that came together with his success, acting, become his passion. However, the interest that observed him everywhere turned into something he struggled to embody. He might have favored to focus on his craft quietly, yet his natural talent and the love of his lovers made anonymity impossible. As lots as Dan appreciated his fanatics, he discovered the lack of privateness overwhelming. His towering presence made him easy to understand, or even a simple circle of relatives trip may want to become chaos, as enthusiasts eagerly crowded around him on one event, a vacation to the Yucatan supposed as a quiet escape, quickly have become a public spectacle, as locals right now diagnosed him, calling out to Hoss Cartwright wherever he went. To many actors, Blocker had little preference to remain inside the limelight. In 1970, he and his family embarked on a trip to Switzerland, inspired via the breathtaking beauty of the Swiss Lake country that he had studied about in National Geographic. They were captivated by means of the serene landscapes around Lakes Como and Lugano, and for Blocker, the idyllic scenery and the chance to lead a quieter lifestyle felt like a dream come true. The circle of relatives quickly determined to make Switzerland their new domestic here. They discovered now not simplest tranquility, but also a high-quality international education for their